Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Appium Guide. As a part of our Appium Inspector series, today we discuss about the session information tab under Appium Inspector and its usages. Okay, so quickly I open the Appium Inspector. Okay, and I have already created some capabilities and saved simple capabilities I created here. Okay, so I provided a platform name, automation name, app package, app activity. Okay, and my emulator is running here. Okay, I click on the start session. Okay, I not started the Appium server. So I start the Appium server here. Yes, let's provide the Appium, the command prompt. So my Appium server is started now. Okay, and just now once again go back to the Appium inspector and click on the start session. So this screen is known as Appium inspector session builder screen. Okay, and this screen is known as session inspector screen. Okay, now we'll go to the session information tab. So today we are discussing about what exactly the session information tab it provides and how we can able to use this session information in our code. Okay, see, when you see the session information tab, we have two parts, that is the session information table. Okay, and this part is known as the session boilerplate. Okay, so first of all, if you come to the session information table, it provides session ID. Okay, field called session ID. The session ID, it is here, it is, if you take last 5 digits, A7119. Okay, what is the session ID here? So if I go to the Appium server, session ID will be same here. So based upon the capabilities we provided, it will create one session ID. See, A7119. Okay, so this is a session ID created by the Appium server. And session URL. The session URL is the combination of host and path and port. Okay, and if you see here, the server details. Okay, it says host is 127.0.0.1 is the host, and path is /. As you know, in Appium 2 we use path as /. In Appium 1 we used to use /wd /hub. Here using Appium 2 here, so we have only / here. And port is 4723 default port. And this is a version of the Appium server. Okay, you see, I go to the Appium server here. So currently I am using the latest version 2.12.1. So this information is provided here. Okay, and the session length. Okay, it provided duration, the session we started. Okay, and the session details. So what are the capabilities we provided? Okay, it provides all the information here. So we have provided a platform name, Android, automation name, UI automated 2. I am using Android here, so I am using the automation name UI automated 2, and the app package, okay, of this web.io. Okay, and app activity, and no reset I said true. These are I provided, and these are the default capabilities which are provided by the Appium inspector here directly. Okay, and the next field is currently active app ID. Okay, and this is the currently active app ID. So it has provided the package name of this web.io app. Okay, so this is the information provided under session information table. Okay, and the second one is this part is known as a session boilerplate. This is known as a session boilerplate. Okay, see what the use of this session boilerplate. It provides the code based upon this drop down. So we have this many. It supports this boilerplate support these many languages, that is .NET, JS, Python, Ruby, Robot framework, and Java. Okay, default is Java we are using here. So this code, okay, see, this code will provide the necessary imports, setup. These are the imports, packages, and setup, and the tear down, okay, activity to create a session. Okay, so what I will do now, I'll just copy this code and I'll open my Eclipse, and under this package I'll create one class. So how we can able to use this boilerplate code? I say as Appium vector session test, I say. Okay, yes, I copied the code from the boilerplate under the session tab. I pasted here. So we need to do some modifications. The class name I had to provide the class name created under the Eclipse. So we need to provide some changes here. I remove this one. So I am using the before test. I say before. Before test, because I will test ng. Quickly I import the before test annotation. So same thing I use say as before after test. So I import the test ng after test. So here I remove this one. So I just copy this one. So I need to do some modifications here. So I remove this one. Instead of that one, I will give here the URL. Okay, the host and the port. Okay, and the test I need to change. Right, what I will do, I just go here. So I say test. I will import the package of test ng test. Okay, so I not want this JUnit. I am using the test ng here. Okay, my tear down is done. Setup, okay, test is there. And now what I will do, instead of base options I will use, because I am using Android, so I use UI automator 2 options, and I say create as table as options. Okay, new. Okay, this is what I created. Okay, now I remove this base options here, and what I say, options dot set capability, set capabilities. Okay, and now what I say, I replace this dot amend, right? Dot amend I want to replace with this one. So I am just using the code which is generated in the Appium inspector here. Okay, this is the code it is generated in the boilerplate, right? So this code I am using here, reusing in my class here under Eclipse to demonstrate how we can be able to use this code. So some small changes we had to use here. So I just give the semicolon here. Okay, now this is, I have to remove this one. So I'll add the close to the method here. Okay, so my setup is completed and tear down is completed. I just comment this one. I don't want to close the driver. So see, I have not added these capabilities here. Just copied from my Appium inspector here. Okay, these are I copied the capabilities from here, from the Appium inspector boilerplate code. Okay, now this URL also I copied from the code. Okay, now I just want to run. I say driver dot get session ID. Sorry, I say get session ID. Just want to print here sys out. I just want to print the session ID here. Okay, so my setup block is done, tear down block is done, and test I given to get the session ID here. Okay, now I'll run the code. I just close this app here in the emulator and I say run the what is running here. It has to open the WebDriver IO app. Okay. Okay. See, here I'll open. So this is the code I got from this is the capabilities I got from the Appium inspector boilerplate section. Okay, and you have observed one thing here. The session ID here it is A7119, but the session ID is provided is different. Why it is? See, there is basically, okay, when you see the architecture, I already discussed about this one. See, when I discussed the first time, I have triggered the request from the Appium inspector. Okay, so this session ID is different. Okay, this session ID is different. Okay, so the session ID which is created in Appium server, the session ID which is created in Appium server, okay, here it is showing different session ID because this session ID is known as the inspector session ID. Okay, so I already discussed all the things in how we can able to create the session ID from the Appium inspector architecture. Okay, so the session ID which is created from the Appium inspector is known as the inspector session ID. Okay, and the session ID which is created with the client is the normal session ID. That's why if you see here, the session ID which is here and the session ID which is created from the client is different. Okay, see, the session ID here it is A7119, but here the last file it is here 232D3. Okay, this is the session ID which is created with the client. Okay, this session ID is known as the inspector session ID, and this session ID is known as the normal session ID which is created with the client. Okay, so this is the use of, okay, this is the use of the session information tab. Okay, basically it provides the session information table and the boilerplate code. Okay, and based upon this code it provides the basically the setup and tear down, okay, and the capabilities. Okay, based on using these capabilities we can able to create a sample code, okay, with light modifications I need to provide, and I will be able to create the session and I will able to run my test scripts. Okay, and here in this boilerplate code we have a drop down called languages. Okay, we can select the, suppose I select .NET, the code will create in a .NET language, and if I select the Python, so the code will create in the Python language. Okay, this is the use of, okay, this is the use of session information tab. Okay, if you like this video, please click on like button and subscribe to my channel. And one more thing, if I request you, please go through my videos where I had discussed about basically what exactly APM inspector architecture and how exactly works. Okay, so keep learning and happy learning. Thanks for watching. Bye.